9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Soviet Union leader Gorbachev. 8 plus EU foreign ministry has described the last leader of the former Soviet Union in his once rigidly closed society. Media and publicity Garba Shehu the Soviet society through his policy of his country and that of others in the defunct Soviet Union. Posterity will be kind to him for placing the interests of the world, his genuine commitment to durable related development. The passing of Mikhail Gorbachev, European nations, is being mourned today as the loss of a leader at a hospital in Moscow yesterday at the age of death. On his part, the UN chief Antonio individual to bring about the peaceful end of the Cold War, a path of liberty for Russians, adding a rare leader who made the world a safer place for free Europe, also registering the Kishida, among others. Global partnerships and support for Nigeria's Lao Konde, STVNg led Nigeria from the US government, the private sector, and other. 6. Commitment in 5 critical sectors. In a separate development, federal government is set to Minister of Power Abubakar Aliyu confirmed this at the Diaba, noting that reliable and sustainable earnings will always bring out the desirable outcome. The total amount disbursed by the federal government for 71.9 billion naira. In a statement in Abuja, the program's national coordinator, Federal Million Naira, had so far been disbursed to the 36 in the annual performance assessments 2018 agent. As the 1.5 government has indicated interests in the continuation trillion naira as consumption expand. This is according to the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy on which VAT will be charged will likely 45 trillion naira in 2025, billion naira threshold. This means that the consumption former Vice Chancellor of the University of Uyo and Professor possible increment in consumption might put the estimated amount required to bridge Nigeria's at the inauguration of the Governing Council. Low domestic gas utilization was the gas infrastructure definition of the critical infrastructure for the gas in accordance with the Petroleum Industry Act. $20 billion on the importation of wheat development. Mahmoud Abubakar announced this at the stakeholders' and consumption rate of wheat and its products. Abubakar noted that the multiplier effects in the international market scheme, Project T-Max, a technical 100 million Nigerians out of poverty by 2030, and he led the Project T-Max team to meet to enroll people between the ages of 18 and other development. The federal government has launched in a move meant to improve public profit, said the unit was introduced in 2019. The Asian platform that aims to connect citizens and projects. He said the goal of the unit was to the legislature Nangat, the House of Representatives members. This is his office was unable to effectively track system linked to the Treasury single account with the Spill Detection and Response Agency. The records of the AGF state that the agency
documents here, sir. We are speaking to document. We are not here to be. We are not sending
an era with professionals like you. Our what we get from those things is you know what Windows operating expense. We must have details of the expense. Nigerians must see these details.
All the agencies, the politicians. Look at what my colleague
here a suit filed by Governor Justice Ahmed Mohammed fixed the date after granting a motion Minu Tambuwal of Sokoto and Atiku Hoy. Prince Michael Ikaman and National Electoral Commission INEC second defendant Tambuwal with a counter affidavit by PDP's presidential candidate for the 2023 has said the federal government should have used this in an interview with newsmen that last Tuesday the federal government and the US reached the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami Expressway, and the second Niger cities to resume academic activities. Describing residents, Sunday Asefon made the call in as they keep employment at various private universities and call off the strike. General Mohammed Fada has assured workers' morale. The NYSC Abuja. He added that a friendly working environment for the bank to sensitize the NYSC officials on security matters now in school, which construction was concluded under his focus on building the public relations base. The provost in charge of the police public relations, he asked that the directive be executed and psychological courses geared at human capacity building of members of the force. Yet A1, stating that getting an operation license while delivering a lecture during the security state. Amao said reversing the challenges of an inadequate air defense personnel could see, and by extension, good governance. Hence, the need to have. Still on aviation matters, Emirates Airlines has restored its customers. Emirates said operations up to Lagos and outbound flights from Lagos and at flight operations, citing its inability. State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu has criticized the federal government, state and federating units with joint security outfit, has also condemned the decision of the federal government to serve the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited merely carry interventions from the private sector in securing and reinforced the need to rehabilitate. Oil set to fall. Thousands of former rebels have sworn an oath of loyalty participated in the proceedings, which were originally of Mayadit, praised the progress in the most challenging and yet the most important. The force is one of the most visible and meaningful expression.
The chapters of the agreement most challenging and yet
in the 18 training centers. Some died because of hunger, as food
of national unity, especially inclusivity and diverse representation.
The renewed fighting to different fronts, including along west after Tigrayan offensives in the east, about the allegations. However, senior Tigrayan analyzed the conflict by sending thousands of troops. 50 civilians were killed and hundreds arrested in Central. Mission said the incident happened on April after one of their convoys was attacked. 50 civilians, including a woman and a child, were since 2020 has brought in Russian operatives. Kremlin Wagner Group has called on the European Union to ban Russian of aggression against Kiev. Kuleba made a tough and consistent policy could produce results. 2007 visa facilitation agreement will ban. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said on constituting a security risk. He added that the EU therefore agreement. Meanwhile, 55 Wade added that the tit-for-tat move away from that, U.S. Justice concealed to obstruct an FBI probe intervention for the FBI raid this month on Trump authorities that contained top-secret classified documents remained at Mar-a-Lago. And inaccurate narrative set forth in Taiwan, focused on securing critical chips, is expected to meet Taiwanese President his 3-day visit to the South Island. After recent trips by U.S., the visits have drawn an angry response from China. During his visit to Taiwan, Xi seeks to a semiconductor manufacturing core, the world where he is expected to meet South Korean President. The spokesperson Zhao Lijian has cautioned the United States regarding a question about the U.S. White House official. The U.S. and Taiwan separatist forces not just it. Zhao urged Washington to abide by the one official exchange with the Taiwan region. has cautioned the United States to avoid question about the U.S. White House official John Kirby. Let's keep it started. Prime Minister at her Scottish Balmoral retreat instead of Buckingham ceremony to take place away from central London, since the 96-year-old monarch will also first receive away from days after a pair of technical issues foiled an initial try at getting the spacecraft off, by weather reports predicting just a 40% issues to be solved. At a media briefing after month in troubleshooting some problems, and that additional eyes was serving essentially. And now it's time for the latest.
Robert, good evening. It is another business day and my name in August. WTI dollars and $95 per barrel respectively. Investors came to terms that global economic central banks around the world continue to aggressively tighten money's millions under strict lockdowns. Compounding clashes in Iraq kept investors await OPEC nations to meet on September should Iran clinch a nuclear deal on age, but all output in the OPEC members line to Europe. Russia state-owned energy giant Gazprom said there is a pipeline. However, Rostrum 1 pipeline stretches 1,200 km in 2011 and can send a maximum. Pipeline was shut down for 10 days in July. It describes as a faulty equipment. The annual inflation rate in the euro preliminary estimates showed the inflation and food prices continue to accelerate 10.6% against 9.7%, and non-energy industrial goods inflation increased to 5.8%. Alcohol and tobacco inflation also increased. And in Nigeria, NCAA authority NCAA has strengthened at a meeting organized by the Ministry of Aviation. Nuhu said he had appealed to the airlines to pay their debt from passengers but refused to remit to pay within a month. On the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the benchmark All-Share Index climbed when compared with the previous trading day, decline in deals. The current 102 listed equities participated in trading, 0.88% share price appreciation. Closing came out last with an end-of-day price appreciation, recorded the highest volume of 100 and to save you, Robert, for the rest of the news.
Super Falcons arrive in Kansas. The World Health Organization's regional proved effective in the management and cure of ailment of infectious and non-communicable diseases. National Medicine Day, Moeti noted that for African populations for centuries. She said the continent had prioritized the latest joint monitoring program report by the World Services with water and soap or alcohol-based people use the facilities, putting them services at all. WHO Director, Department of Environment, the 2019 World Health Assembly Committee.
Thank you, Xavier Robert. Good evening and welcome to the Sports Desk. I am in a row with a 7-5-6-2 win. It was rarely playing meeting in San Jose a month ago when she was barely in the third round of the US Open for the fifth time with a 7-5-6. Now in cycling, Australia's Caden Groves timed his bust after the 191.2 kilometer run to Cabo de Gan Alapivin, retired following a crash. His quick step teammate Ramco two-match tour comprising 2 friendly matches with the U earlier today. He said the first of the 2 matches to prepare for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup final schedule. And that's all we have for you from the Sports Desk this evening.
Thanks, Bright James. Nigerian name, Mayowa, as they meet in the U.S. He had ever seen. The Nigerian producer come singer series of photos shared on the Electricity Crooner's California was an amazing time out. Feels revealed. In our next story, Leonardo DiCaprio and Camila Monroe, 6, actor DiCaprio and Monroe have decided to go after they shared an emotional conversation on a beach in the summer. It will be recalled that DiCaprio and Monroe first began dating in 2015. Nina Angdel and the turns down offer to host Oscars 2023. The comedian was attacked by wolves. According to reports gathered, Rock made a revelation during a stand-up comedy, returning to host the Oscars this year, and his ex-wife was murdered. Recall that during this year, resulting to her bold look to Xavier Roberts.
STVNg. You have been